increase productivity by placing native Photoshop files in FrameMaker. FrameMaker imports an impressive number of graphics and multimedia formats, but one way to squeeze more out of your TechComm effort is to reduce time spent managing graphics files. If you have both Adobe Photoshop and FrameMaker installed on your system, you can benefit from FrameMaker's built-in Photoshop integration. With Photoshop, placing native PSD files into FrameMaker saves time in two ways. You're eliminating the time it takes to export to formats like TIFF or JPEG, and at the same time reducing the number of files you need to manage. Using a PSD file guarantees that you'll retain the full quality of the image, whereas many interchange formats apply compression to reduce file size, resulting in image quality loss. Interchange formats also simplify the contents of a file, reducing access to layers, edits, and other working material. You place a Photoshop PSD file just like any other file. Just choose File, Import, File. Select the PSD file, and click Import. Once you have PSD or other bitmap files inserted into FrameMaker, you can also save time by using Photoshop as your bitmap editor. The file I placed is a logo that needs two small changes. The logo itself should be more transparent, and a color adjustment layer was turned off accidentally in the last edit. With the graphics selected, you can launch Photoshop in two ways. Either right-click on the image, choose Edit with Photoshop, or with the graphics selected, go up to Graphics, Edit with Photoshop. If needed, Photoshop will open up, and the file will be opened into Photoshop automatically. I'll make the two changes that I need, first reducing the opacity of the logo, and then turn on the layer, which increases saturation and brings up the brightness. Once I save my file in Photoshop, I can go back to FrameMaker, and you can see that the image updates automatically. But don't forget that you can use Photoshop to edit other types of bitmap graphics as well. Here's another graphic inside of my file, and even though it's not a Photoshop file, I can use the same commands to open the file up into Photoshop. I'll make a quick adjustment to the shadow end of the image using the Curves dialog box. I'll check the correction that I made, save the file, and when I go back to FrameMaker, the image has already been updated. And here's a final tip. FrameMaker has a launch menu that lets you launch Photoshop, Illustrator, Captivate, and Robo Screen Capture directly. This is helpful if you'll be starting from scratch and don't yet have a file ready to import.